What's up, guys? Just feel like making another video today. Yeah, I was listening to Prophets Among Us and just these new guys that, I started to see come up on the YouTube scene, and some of them might have been there for a while, but it's really me that's dipping my foot back into the water, I guess, and seeing new faces. And they were talking about the Rapture today, and what I see happening, my point of view, I figured I'd just give you my point of view, is that there could be multiple raptures. Now that's kind of outrageous. I'm just going out from my hands-on knowledge of the Bible, is that it's supposed to happen around the same time as the first resurrection. So when you see souls coming back alive again, that's also that time, the woman had wings of an eagle. She was given wings of an eagle to fly away. And, she had 12 stars on her. 12 stars as a crown on her head. 12 tribes. Could be what it represented. That's at least my interpretation of it. Now, this also, you would have people also have dreams and visions of a false rapture happening. Now, how could a false rapture happen? Oh, maybe it wasn't the one where they were automatically translated. I don't think translated is the right word. Maybe summoned into their resurrected form. I don't know. What happens when you get raptured? Are you suddenly going towards your resurrected form, or are you just in a place of divine protection and place of holding until they move you into the new kingdom, the new heavens and new earth? Could be just a lot of thoughts. And also on the false rapture, so let's say there are two raptures, right? The one that happens near the time of the two witnesses, and the woman, the crown, wings of an eagle. I would say that's the real rapture. Some people also believe that there wouldn't be any persecution. I believe that every day you go through persecutions. Why would it be any different? Every day is a tribulation. Why would it be any different? Some people, it's just you gotta really build your house on a strong foundation. And I would say, in order to do that, it's just been my experience that you got to go back to the essentials of the gospel and what the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and of course everything Paul wrote talks about is lay down your life. I got into this in another video, so I'll just go back. It's important that maybe this pseudo raptures, it's kind of has to do with maybe the mock antichrist, or the antichrist that's put into place before the unveiling of the unveiling. I really have to ponder about that a little bit more. But could it be so? A lot of people like to think the RFID chips that we have now are already the Antichrist. The technology we have now is already, that's the 666. The iPhone's in your hand. That's just, you hear all types of theories all the time. But, already the prophecies. Head, right hand, or left hand, whatever. The prophecies, and so it's easy you have to be very reserved, but that doesn't mean you're not watchful. You know what the ideas are, what are the angles, but you have to be very reserved in your judgment. Wait on the Lord. It's kind of like that feeling you get when you're waiting, you're not sure, is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet? Oh, yeah, I think it's time. Oh, you're debating it inside your head. Should I push the button now? Should I push the button now? Should I do it now? Do I run now? Do I run now? And then you're always you're going back and forth inside your head. And you think, oh, this might be the right thing. And then at that instant it comes, it's just like that feeling you get. This is it, for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt. When you have that realization that it's beyond a shadow of a doubt, maybe it's too late. But that's why it's important always to be watchful, to be a participant in the body of Christ, and to be open to everything. And don't let the dogmas or the doctrines, the ideas of men rule you. The same prophecies up to no private interpretation, or scriptures up to no private interpretation. And look what it says inside 2 Peter about prophecies. But holy men of old wrote as they was inspired. And we have to really not be, it's easy to be bold for Christ and then get caught up in thinking you're right, which if you there's always grace in everything, because it's so hard that we can get off on, the path of being bold and the path of being proud are so close to one another, and yet they're so far that only the person walking it can distinguish it. But as you run that path, if you don't keep your eyes on the ground from time to time, or watch where you're walking, which is using the eyes of humility, then you might get towards that proud road. Talking from experience. I'm just giving you my experience. So, when it talks about this locust army, the army that comes from the north, and you have the king of the north and the king of the south in the book of Daniel, and and I like to read these extra biblical books, so I have a certain insight that allows me to see into the dreams and visions that you guys also have. And there's a reference from one of these extra biblical books that says, we will become like the angels is the last of the sins, of the greatest sin. It starts naming them, and then it goes homosexuality, and then after that it says, we will become like the angels. So, that could be a problem. You know what I mean? We got to be careful. I say be humble and just do the Lord's work. Talk about Jesus. Do the right thing. Bear fruits of the Spirit. Show the people a higher way. Talk about God. And Try to be a Mary and not a Martha. A Martha always wants to do work for the Lord. A Mary takes some time and listens at the feet of the Lord. You know? And I'm not saying not to do works, but, keep in check also your personal relationship and let everything else flow if it can. And prayer is important. I was watching the meeting that these guys had together, and so it was really nice that they had prayer going on a lot. And I like Pretty Bear, and I like Prophets Among Us, and Brother Mike is nice too. But I just have a different view when it comes to prophecy. But does that matter? Does that make me anything else? Does that make them any less beloved? Are we not brothers? We got to keep watching. Got to keep talking about God. And be open to change. Because I'll tell you what the angels told me when they rebuked me. You don't know. Only God knows. So it's good to have a open view on prophecy. But sometimes you got to take your stand. You take your stand and you be bold. And sometimes it's getting too long, but I'll end it with this. Sometimes I think the Lord, He doesn't care if you took the investment and made money or lost the money. He doesn't care. All He cares about is that you did something with your talent. He cares that you did something with that money. He doesn't care, He has that prodigal son love. He doesn't care if you wasted it all or if you doubled it back. Because just by the fact that you obeyed Him and tried your best, this is the God that looks at the heart of the motive. He doesn't care if you're a loser or a winner in the eyes of the world. He knows your heart, and He can tell who's the real winners from the real losers. It's just like He doesn't care if you're in churches. A certain church here, or He doesn't care if a church is unified, even though it's a good thing when a church is unified. He doesn't care about. He knows who are His people. And He knows how to gather them together. And He knows how to strengthen each. Worry for nothing. This is a God that God is in control. And just take always try to look at it as a higher level. A higher level of thinking, but also recognize the practicalities of it. So, yeah, I understand how the world works, but there are things at play that we're all children. Unless you ascend into the heavens, you're not a man. Unless you've been there, you're not a man. That's what Paul says. He says, as a child, I spake as a child. I did things as a child would do. But when I became a man, then I understood and I put away childish things, which we can do here. But he was talking about the veil, and he said we all look through that veil darkly. It's like a glass that we all look through darkly. So, get to know the Lord, and light that passion in your heart. I know I had that passion. This video is getting too long, but light that passion in your heart where you search the scriptures night and day. Why? Because you have a thirst to get to know Him. And He will choose you 1 out of 1,000, 2 out of 10,000. And that's the way it has to be. And Lord loves us all. It's true. But you ever heard that saying, a good woman's hard to find? You know, it's just the way the world works. So the Lord's looking for her bride, and it's a hard thing to find. I'm sure He sees it a mile away, but you know, it's just that kind of expression that you get. It's many are the workers of darkness, and there might be a revival. I hope for one. I pray for one, and but I think it's going to be more of a separating the wheat from the tares, and